Really?
For real. Well, at least you're growing your people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Those real estate shirts have paid some dividends. Morning,
Did your
Lonnie.
inspection go?
I think so, so far. So we're doing, Ron's doing it's on one of my flips that we did.
Oh, good.
An unrepresented buyer was buying it before we hit market kind of deal. So it's kind of bittersweet because you get the deal and then you don't have to pay another side, but then I don't get to market it and show it off because it's a really pretty house. I'm still probably going to do like an open house or something on it just to show the neighbors. I don't know. Because this one turned
Sure.
out really pretty. Oh, you guys want to see it?
Sure.
I'll show you while we're waiting for everybody. All right, I'll show you the living room.
How did you know Canaan was my son?
He told me.
Oh,
I thought this turned out pretty good. So there's the living room.
oh yeah.
Yep,
Amazing.
still getting finished. And then we got the dining room there.
Is this one in Harrisonville also?
It's in Lee Summit.
Oh.
Hey, Ron.
Hi, Tricia.
Hi.
That's what we need to do is invite Ron onto this mastermind once in a while. That'd be a great talk about an asset. Learn about inspections for an hour.
Fair enough.
But, all right, we'll get going here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. All right, how's everybody's week going?
Oh, it's going.
Steamy.
Gosh, yeah. Let's see here. All right, we'll start it out. Who's got a win? Give me your one win you've had in the last 30 days.
I just had a win at
Whoa.
12:20 this morning.
1220?
My Yes, this sweet agent that's in her 70s signed the contract. She's selling it on behalf of some heirs. And yeah, so some of my husband's cousin Abby, we've had a couple of doozies, and this is the third house. And yeah, they took our offer 40K below asking. So we're about 60,000 under her top budget. So it was, yeah. So that's my win for the day.
That's a
I'm
good
sure the other
win.
agent was like, we want to work with Shelby. She's been great on communication. All her paperwork is in order. I know all
Yeah,
that
and
stuff
they,
though.
oh, that's, yeah, I think she appreciated that. But I think after I was asking her questions, and so her sister died 10 years ago, and then um, her husband just recently passed. She got set as the executor for this will, and she doesn't want to mess with this. So she could sign literally anything we sent over without having to get anybody's approval. So I was like, oh, this is golden. She doesn't want to mess with this. She sells houses in Lee Summit. This is not what she wants to mess with. So yeah, so I was, yeah, I'm super pumped, and she knows the lender that I do stuff with, so that helped us win too.
Good job, Shelby.
Good
Asking those
job.
Thank
questions. I think I always go back to Nathan Priest, but he is the king of asking questions. And I feel like that's a big thing in our job is just keep asking questions. So good job, Shelby. Who else
I
has
have
got a win this
two.
week or month?
I have two.
Nice.
One will mean more to some of you than it will to others. I've had a very positive experience interacting with Pam Hatcher in regards to one of her listings. So I know not everyone can say that that's been their experience, but I'll take that as a win. That's been a positive experience for me there. And then number two, my first house listing went live today. I have land, but I have a house for sale now too.
Where's that at?
It's in Independence.
What's the address?
1915 South Overton. I actually posted it in the office group this morning.
Nice.
145, three bed, one bath.
Let's see if we can get her a buyer. Get her first listing an in-house deal. Talk about a smooth transaction. Let's keep that in-house. That looks good. What's the rent on something like that out there? That's a cute house.
Uh, they were renting it previously, and the owners just don't want to be landlords anymore because they were
I
landlording
mean,
from
like
Denver.
for, like if we
Yeah,
were
they
selling it
rented
to an
it out
investor,
for, I think they were renting it for like 15.
1,500.
Yeah.
All right.
But their previous agent property manager had it listed as a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom,
Hmm.
and it has 3 bedrooms.
All right. I'm gonna ask some people to do some math here. Is this a good investment property? It's 145. So we're gonna put 20% down. Taxes on it are 1,287. What's our monthly payment on something like that? And say insurance is 2,400 a year. Anybody?
On a 15-year loan, it's probably about 1150 or so.
Just one for Amber. Okay. No rent.
Let's see here. 15-year, it's about 1,300 at
But
6.5% interest. So if we're at 6% or so on a 15, get
on
you
a
down. to about
$115,000 loan,
Yeah, 145, 15 years, 1,287 on the tax, 2,400 on the insurance.
got it. Okay.
Yep, so 978 is your P&I. But if we were to say do it on a 30 year or a 20 year, let's go 30 year, you're looking at 6.5%. You're looking at just over $1,000. And Ashley was saying you're getting $1,500 a month rent out of that.
Hmm.
So I mean that's a pretty, and it's $1,500 a month, and it's 145 rule. So
Does it need a lot of capital, a lot of money spent on it?
doesn't look like it.
2-year-old roof, 7-year-old HVAC and furnace, 3-year-old water heater. We just did some tree work and stuff on it too, for the clients. Just put in like new faucets, just a little bit of cosmetic stuff. It was mismanaged by the property manager, and then they had it on the market for a while, but didn't advertise it, didn't do anything with it. So it kind of fell into my lap as a referral from my TC.
Nice.
But I'm
Let's see
hoping we can
here.
just make it move.
Where's it located again?
It's in Independence. It's near Van Horn High School.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think it's only what, like a
It's
mile?
close to the highways, but far enough from busy roads that it's still a quiet neighborhood.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, heck, that's a good investment property. I'd market it as that. I mean, you're cash flowing off the get-go and it needs nothing. So that's a great listing. Good job, Ashley.
Thanks.
All right, anybody else have a win that they'd like to share?
Closed on a daughter's house yesterday.
Nice. Buy or sell?
I'm in a vacant room right now, sequestered away from 9 grandkids that are helping her clean right now. So,
Sorry, you guys are propped up in a closet, so
hence the echo.
launch. Awesome, dude. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right, any others before we get moving on to the next thing?
I have a win.
What do you got, Marcia?
Who'd I beat up? I got a board duty to call probably in December of last year on a property in Belton, and it's 80 acres and a house right off of 171st Street, 58 Highway or whatever. And so Nathan's my partner in on it, and we finally got it listed. We've been dealing with this since December, and it's a big estate. And anyhow, after lots of conversations with the family that spread out throughout the whole country, we finally got everything under order, and it's in pre-mail MLS now, and it will be live tomorrow. And it's 80 acres, a big gorgeous house. It used to be a cattle farm for the longest time, and this house was, I don't know, built in the 60s, I believe, or 70s. I'll have to look that up. I should know that. But anyhow, we're not really selling the house. It's in a state of disrepair, but it is repairable, and it's a beautiful house. And at the time, it was probably, a very showcase property, a house. But anyhow, we're excited to have it. It was a long process to get to this point when you're dealing with, family members and trust and all the things. And so it'll be going live tomorrow in Belton, 80 acres.
Nice. How much is that going for?
We have it listed at just under 2.6 million.
It's like your average sales price is about 2 million.
Yeah, I try to keep it up there.
Marsha sells like 3 houses a year, top agent in the office.
Other than that, I'm on vacation, huh? Oh, speaking of that, I did just spend the last 2 days at the Lake of the Ozarks helping my sister buy a house, and that's a whole different deal. So I'm recovering from that. That's a little bit different to be down there for a couple days and then readjust to regular life.
Yeah, I bet.
It was fun though. That was fun. Fun work.
Awesome.
My
Congrats.
favorite part of that whole story, Marcia, is the call came off board duty.
Yeah, it did. Yep. And the son that reached out and made the call, he's actually a commercial broker in Arizona.
Oh, is that
And
right?
then so
Oh, cool.
yeah, so it worked out. It worked out really well. So I'm happy to have that part moving along.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right
now,
up your
with the
alley.
2 million plus listing off board duty, I can see why we had 2 or 3 board duty slots open this week. That makes perfect
Well, they
sense.
limit us on how often we can do it.
Yeah, and it's kind of restrictive if you absolutely have to be in the office. That's sometimes restrictive, and I can't commit to that at the moment either. But board duty has done me good in the past for sure,
Right.
many times.
Yeah,
Many
we had always
times.
had mandatory in the office, and then COVID got us away from it. I think we've kind of reverted back. The fear is obviously the walk-in person that finds us and shows up and our board agent's somewhere else. So, but anyway, congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, Marsha. That'd be awesome. All right. Anybody else before we move on? All right. So, last week Lonnie held this thing, right?
Yeah.
All right. That was a really good one. What were some takeaways you guys found from last week? Takeaways, things that you're going to implement or have implemented in the last week. Anything good?
The takeaway is that if Lonnie has us sign up, we'll have 30 people, but if not, we only have 15.
Yeah, I'm one half Lonnie apparently, so I'm 15.
Well, I
0.5.
promoted it, Jake, and got commitments. If you remember, there was even a sign-up sheet.
Yeah.
Although 5 of the people on the sign-up sheet still weren't on the call.
Liars.
So that was kind of funny.
Sorry.
No worries. It's not the end of the world.
It's not okay, Josh. You need to be true to your word, buddy. Come on.
I'll commit to the next 5.
Wow.
Should be the rest of the year. This is a weekly thing. No, I'm just messing with you. All right, let's see here. Let's look at the market's kind of funny right now. So I know we talk about this a lot, but do you guys actually track where did your last 3 closings come from? Who wants to? I'm sure Lonnie's a sphere from his triangle. Who would like to volunteer for that? The last 3 deals, where'd you get them from?
I've only had 3, but I'll share. And one hasn't closed yet.
Still a
But
deal.
open house, and then the other 2 were just community things. One was down by the lake, and the other one was, meeting people at a restaurant,
Nice.
just out talking to people.
That's true. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think my mom got an $800,000 house under contract from talking to somebody on her walk while she was out at walk-in or something at night. They're under contract on it now, and she's going to sell their house at, it'll be a $1.3 million deal. Just talking to some neighbors that she didn't know.
Yeah. One
it's
was
like
my
Christian.
husband at the lake, so not Lake of the Ozarks, Cleveland Lake in Belton. So
Driving Cleveland Lake.
yeah.
Christian says past client referral, agent referral, and sphere.
Okay. So we got open house here, random people we're talking to, referrals, and Marsha got board duty.
Board duty, and right now I have 2 clients that I'm working with that used to be kids that worked at our farm at Pinedale when we had the farm, and they were weed eater boys or mowers, and now they've grown up, and I'm currently under contract with two of them, and I think that's pretty fun to be somebody's first employer, and then they came back to me as to be the real estate agent too. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm pretty happy
That's
about
cool.
that.
That is cool.
Yeah, they're both getting married. They're both buying houses, and we're under contract with great houses for both of them. And I just love that. That's fun.
That's awesome. How are the yards on those houses?
Much smaller than they were mowing at Pinedale, that's for sure.
We got referral, Facebook, and a past client. You know, a trend that I'm seeing with all of these, I haven't heard one thing that has costed anybody any money. Every single one of these are free lead sources. Chris Bradley, past clients. Again, none of these things cost any money. So that is awesome.
Jake,
So-
I'll share quickly because I thought mine was kind of random. One of mine was a for sale by owner call that I made, and we have his under contract now. And then the one that is kind of going to be a buy and a sell, they literally called me out of nowhere. I'd never met them before. They called me and said, "Hey, we've been doing some research and wanted to interview you," and it worked. So I don't know where they came from. I asked them where they were researching, and they just said, "We just look online." And I don't know. I didn't know I had an online presence. So that was a win I didn't know was out there.
Is Paul on here? I think you just said something to make him pass out. Oh, don't know your online presence. That's awesome, though.
He's not on
Yeah, I
here, but
Don't tell on Trisha. Paul will be so upset. Yeah. I think what were my last three? Investors and referrals were my last three. But no, that's cool. That's funny how like nobody, and then Crystal says open house, sphere, and a referral. Nobody has paid for clients. I get a lot of things. I've tried buying leads, all sorts of stuff like that as well. And it seems like that stupid pyramid that Lonnie always draws. And these free lead sources are where we get most of our clients. So I was going to talk about that now with the interest rate so high, cost of living high, things like that. And then Lonnie was saying that sales are kind of at an all-time low. Who is buying right now? Who's buying and selling? It's not 2020 anymore. Who do we need to be targeting?
You gotta, as the market gets a little tight, you gotta find the motivated. The people, first time home buyers that need a house and it's sick of their parents' apartment, they're buying. They don't care what rates used to be. They're just ready for a home. People that are, getting to a certain age and can't do steps anymore, they don't care what the rates are doing. So you find the people going through a divorce. You mentioned an estate a little bit earlier. I think Marcia was dealing with one of those. So those transactions will go in all markets all the time. It's what we're losing now is the people that are kind of like would like to move but don't have to. That person can sit on the sidelines in their 3% mortgage and just be fine. So, but the business is out there. We just have to go hunt for it a little bit.
Yeah, well, you copied that off of Christian. He said it first, according to the chat.
Damn it.
No, but I was going to say, so I would agree with you 100%. It's that. So what are we doing to target those clients? Maybe the older, I know Tom is very good at targeting the older clients. Have you guys adjusted your marketing, your sphere, your calling to help target these motivated people versus just targeting to everybody? Has anybody done any adjustments on anything like that? Want to share with us successes?
I do a quarterly letter that just went out, I think it was last week or the end of the previous week, to all the people that own multifamily in the county. And there's probably about 200 people that or companies that identify as owning duplexes or fourplexes. So they get a quarterly letter, and that's pretty targeted. It's pretty narrow. The phone's not always just going to blow up, but the last letter produced a listing, and then Sandy bought it, so it'll be her first rental property, which is cool.
Nice.
So, but whether we get any calls or not, it's now on the calendar, just like the Thursday 30 Mastermind call. And it's just something we do. So when it pops up, it's like, oh, time to create the letter. Let's find some comps. Let's send the people some data and be the foremost expert when they're ready to sell what they have or buy more of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've been trying to talk with divorce attorneys and try to get my foot in there as well, because that's one that is usually a must sell. Um, they used to use me just as their health insurance guy, so I'm still trying to get them to use me as their realtor instead of just the health insurance guy. What about anybody else? So Lonnie did his newsletters, divorce attorneys. How else are we contacting these motivated people? All right, silence. I love it.
Well, one thing is still the open house play. I know a lot of people don't like to do them, but the people that are coming around looking at your open house when it's 7% interest rate are people that are actually looking for a house.
Mhm.
So, um, I mean, on both of my listings, anytime anyone wants to do an open house Monday through Monday, tell me about it and go do it. If you want to go do it, go. Both houses are empty. Do an open house there every day if you feel like it. That's people are walking into the open houses for a reason. It's too hot to just be out farting around on a Saturday or Sunday. So they're coming to the open house with purpose. So
Do you think open houses are more effective now than they were, say, in 2022, 2021?
um, I don't know. I haven't seen a huge difference. It's just, again, the people that are coming in are looking for a house.
Mhm.
So that's a really good, easy way to sit there and catch the motivated people. And there are people that come in unrepresented. So I don't know, just my thought.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, let's see here. So again, none of this stuff costs any money, which is great because I'm cheap. I don't want to spend any money on anything if I don't have to. And that also gives us zero excuse not to do them. Talking to myself, I haven't done an open house in forever. Um, all right, let's see here. Oh, inspections. I wanted to talk about inspections as well. How do you guys handle, say, uh, air conditioning is working, you go and have an inspection, you leave, air conditioning is no longer working, but it was, say, working during the inspection or something like that. Nothing was leaking. They get home, something leaks post inspection. How do you guys, who's dealt with that?
We just did that yesterday on my daughter's house. We closed at 10. We came and did our final walkthrough at 8 a.m. and the AC wasn't working. Nothing was working. So made a phone call to the agent, got him on the ball. We went down to Lowe's. This is up in the Woodbridge area in Martin City. So we went down to Lowe's to get a 3-prong for the dryer that was coming today. Walking into the store, the agent said, "Hey, the tech is standing outside waiting right now. Do you have the key?" So I had to race back up to Martin City and then race back by 10 o'clock. But he did a quick amendment that said that the seller agreed to pay whatever Midwest Heating and Cooling said had to happen with the AC. So she paid $609 to have 2 capacitors replaced in the AC.
So I had that happen the other day in Butler. And then I drove off the key. And I was in Lee Summit and they're like, hey, plumber's coming. I'm like, I'm back to Butler. But what about one like specifically, like say the seller says the inspector broke this when they were inspecting it because it was working before they inspected it, came home, it's no longer working. Has anybody had that specifically?
I had an issue in the spring, and my clients said that the inspector must have flipped a switch in the electrical panel or stepped on a cord, or somebody did, but it unplugged their freezer in their garage, and all of her stored breast milk spoiled. She was very upset. And I I didn't, it was a tricky situation. So I would love to know how you handle those things. You hope the inspector looking at your client's house doesn't turn off things or step on cords and unplug them. I don't know. It was you know, for a woman who had to do that for her kid while she's at work, it was traumatic.
Apparently that's really good for bodybuilding. A bunch of breast milk. But no, I'm with you too. Sometimes I think these like old appliances and old things are just hanging on by the last straw, and the inspector comes and flips it on and then it breaks. I don't think a lot of them are intentional or anything like that, but usually my first step is to check to see if the seller has some sort of seller warranty. And then I'll check with the inspection company, see if it was, or if we're going to buy it and see if we're buying a warranty, see how that will work. If we can go ahead and file a claim mid contract, check out the warranty situation. But say no warranty, like this is a scenario I had come up earlier this week. Inspector sellers are kind of irritated because they left and their AC was working. They came home and it's not. How would you guys handle that? Does the inspector have to cover it, or does the buyer, or does like who? Because the sellers are like, it worked. Why are we paying for it when they think that you guys broke it? Anybody had any? I know I'm not the only one that's had that happen.
Yeah, Jake, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, well, yes, I did have that specific thing happen with the AC. It's been a number of years ago, and we had to call Air Experts Heating and Cooling to come out. And he said the reversing solenoid, because it was an AC with a heat pump, and because they're kicking on the furnace, they're kicking on the AC, like they're knocking it back and forth in a pretty short amount of time frame. And I guess the reversing solenoid just went out, and that our AC guy thankfully was like, yeah, it's a bummer that it happened because of the inspections, and that they were, cycling it back and forth between heat and cool, and it's hot out. But it was just sort of on its last leg, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so our sellers ended up paying for it. It was something that was on its last leg anyway, and it was an older heat pump, so that was helpful. But it was extremely disappointing because it was working when they left and the house was nice and cool. And then now we've got a couple $100 service call bill. So that stunk. However, our AC contractor was pretty savvy enough to be like, yeah, it's a bummer. And also it was just on its last leg. So that really helped, having a contractor that, thought to have that conversation with us. So that was really helpful. And then the other thing that brought to mind was, Becca had that situation here just a couple weeks ago with the dishwasher. And what ended up, I think my biggest takeaway there was, between having a conversation about it with Darren, having a conversation about it with the leadership at the other co-op brokerage, having a conversation with the inspection company, it's really hard to prove fault.
Right.
Like, hey, the dishwasher was working fine. You guys did your inspections. Now we have a leak. Well, who all else was in the house? Dishwashers do leak sometimes. I've gone to the lake and I've come back and my ice maker was leaking and nobody was at the house and it just happened. Like, it's really, really hard to associate fault or blame in most of those situations. I mean, unless it's just negligence, it's really tough to, like, yeah, I mean, stuff happens, right? So, and that literally, that brokerage said that to us. In Becca's case, was they used a different word, but basically, hey, stuff happens. So welcome to homeownership, which is a bummer, but it's really hard to determine fault in those situations.
Right. Yep, those are always tricky. I know Darren, that's why he's not a big fan of the move in before you close, because now if the AC goes out while they're living there, who pays for it kind of deal. So that kind of stuff can get real tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can. I mean, Trisha's situation with the breast milk, like, I mean,
Mhm.
I've had one where
Replace that.
it wasn't breast milk, it was frozen beef.
Mhm.
But they lost several $100s worth of beef. In that case, it was an outlet in the garage that was protected by a GFI, and the inspector went around with his plug tester and was tripping all the GFIs and just didn't get that one reset. And the homeowner didn't know it until they went to get beef. And it was, or I think there was like some blood that was like oozing out of the door or something like that. Um, and from an electrician standpoint, it's like, well, that's why I never recommend having refrigeration on a GFI protected outlet. Like that happens all the time. And sometimes even just like the motor, the compressor in the refrigerator unit, the compressor will trip the GFI. It's called a nuisance trip. Like there's nothing really inherently wrong, but just there's arcing and sparking inside motors to get them started. And sometimes the GFIs, if they're older or sensitive, they'll trip. And then the homeowner doesn't know because you're gone, and the AC the cooling compressor on the refrigeration unit, it causes us to trip, and you're not even there and don't know it. Again, it's really hard to determine fault. It seems suspect because, well, the buyers were in there with their inspector, and well, but I mean, that's really tough. I mean, the case with the meat, they could just buy new. The breast milk, little different situation. I'm sure that was really, really devastating. I don't know that you have a case to win there, though. It's just really hard to determine what caused it and why. And yes, I understand that the buyers were in there, their inspectors were in there, but hard to prove fault, I guess.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, but I never really even thought about that. The GFI on a fridge or a freezer. I wrote that down. You always have good, helpful tips, Tim.
Good. That's the bummer part about those is, like as an electrician at my house, I have a fridge in the garage and it has all of our drinks and our frozen pizzas and stuff in it. And I would never put that on a GFI because of that reason. But if you're doing a home inspection, guess what the inspector is going to write up? That there's not GFI protection on the outlet in the garage. And then a lot of buyers are like, well, I want it to be up to code. Like, yeah, but what are you going to do? You're going to plug a refrigerator into it too, or your chest freezer, or like it is a code item because it's in an area that has an unfinished floor. Typically it's a concrete floor. So there is a chance of moisture, and concrete does conduct electricity. So technically it should be a GFI, but when it comes to nuisances and what you're actually using it for, if it's for refrigeration, it's better for it to just be a standard regular residential outlet.
Good tip. All these things that we wouldn't know, or I mean that makes perfect sense, but I just never really even thought about it, honestly. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, but now everybody, all 17 of us know that now.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not your specialty, how would you know? You wouldn't. Right. So yeah, fair.
Good call, Tim. We talk a lot about best practices. And one thing I don't think we talk a lot about is how to negotiate during the inspection period. Does anybody have a really good example of what not to do, or a really good example of what to do during the negotiations of the inspection period?
I would suggest always leading off with a call to the listing agent before you make any proposals, and just kind of chat and feel them out a little bit. And sometimes they'll tip their hand a little bit, and for example, if it's kind of a bumpy one and you're chatting with them, they may go, hey, we know this house isn't perfect. I've let my seller know we're probably going to be held accountable. So, just try to treat us fairly, and that's what you want to hear. But if they have the attitude that, hey, you guys clobbered us on negotiations, this is probably one that they're going to do little or nothing. You still can propose whatever you want, but at least what you're up against.
Have to actually pick up the phone and call people.
I know it's a little antiquated, but somehow we managed to do it. We're pretty busy.
You print off the inspection report too? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's the only way I talk to people. I don't understand agents that don't call, because I can't. I mean, like you were saying, you can feel them out and just kind of hear their tone and everything like that, where you cannot on an email or a text. So so first step, call the agent, ask questions, feel them out. Anybody else?
I know if there's a lot of things in a lot of different areas, or sometimes I try to help when we're the buyer, is try to help them go, which ones can we compartmentalize? Because it might be easier to get them to focus on all electrical or all plumbing than one electrical item, one plumbing item. Like sometimes to go, they only have to get one contractor out there. We might can get all the plumbing instead of these two things, and then you want to fix two things, and then one. I try to help them group it together a little bit, and I think it looks I think it's easier to present it as, hey, we're kind of willing to do these things, but here's this lump of your one contractor that needs to show up. I think it just might look easier to the seller only has to process. I only have to get a plumber, or I only have to get an electrician, instead of I now need to organize one person for these two things and then somebody for these two things. So sometimes we try to do that if it lends toward it.
Uh, that's exactly what I do as well. Because yeah, you're right. It's and sometimes I'll ask for small things too, because I'm like, the plumber's going to be there anyways. Can he just put that gasket on while he's out there? He's not going to charge us any more. Sometimes I feel like I can get a lot more on the negotiations when I compartmentalize like that. So excellent job, Tricia. That's so we ask questions, we'll compartmentalize. I liked Brandy's thing about organizing them from most important to least important. So that's kind of a good thought. I don't know if I'd actually tip my hand and tell them that, because I'm like, yeah, we'll just not do the bottom three things of each compartment. But what else? Who has had a really bad experience on this or really messed up that they want to share? I was like the
Perfect
ones where
example. Yeah,
go
the
ahead.
agent just sends you a laundry list, no call, no anything, just basically all the stuff that's on the summary of the thing, and you're like, well, okay, this is kind of dumb. Well, just tell us what you will do and what you won't do. So that was just the least amount of work possible. No communication. Those things never land well. What Tricia said is a brilliant idea, and we've been doing that for a long time. Is let's just say there's a dozen items, but four of them are electrical, four of them are plumbing, and maybe the other four are miscellaneous, some termite treatment and a radon, you know, lump the plumbing and electrical together. So it looks like one item with like five different things to do, one item with five different things to do. It's a lot more palatable to them if they look at it in that light. Otherwise, they just get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially if you're doing a dozen items. I think the putting them in sections like that is the only way that I've ever had success getting it. It blows my mind how many people just send over, and I never even talk to them half the time. They're like, all right, yeah, we did inspections, and they send me over the thing, and no warning, nothing. If I have a big inspection negotiations, I'm definitely calling and saying, hey, there was a lot on this inspection report. But yeah, it blows my mind how people
And
do that.
I like to tell the other agent, I often like to start the conversation with, hey, there were things. Obviously, houses aren't perfect. Here's what my clients are willing to accept. Because then I'm throwing out there, here's all the things, because I want them to go back to their sellers and that's what's on their brain. Here's what their clients are willing to accept. And I'm going to send over the things that we're going to request you guys to fix. I feel like putting the positive for their conversation, because not all agents may do that well. I try to do that with my clients. Hey, here's what they're willing to accept. Here's the part that they're asking us to look into, because it can look so negative. Inspection reports just look negative. There's so many pages of things that need work, it seems like. Um, because they don't write on there, here's your great things about your house. They don't put that part. So I try to flip the narrative. I call the agent and I'm like, hey, yes, there's a lot, but my clients are like, hey, here's what we're willing to look at taking care of. They're willing to handle a chunk. I'm going to send over to you the parts they're not willing to do. I feel like they might be able to look at their clients and go, hey, the agent called and said they're actually willing to take care of some of them themselves. They're going to send over what they're not. I try
That's
to
a
give them
great
a
tip.
positive
That
spin.
helps a lot. Yeah. Hey, there's these 12 things. We're only going to ask you to do 5 of them, so we'll take care of the other 7. That's a pretty strong negotiation there.
Well, especially if I list 5 electricals under number 1.
Right.
Point, electrical. And then I list them all. I don't put electrical sink, electrical here and here. I just put electrical and then list them. So it might look like I'm only asking for 2 things, but there's a lot in there. I think presentation's a huge part of the negotiations on inspection.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see.
Do you
making notes
guys
here.
kind of feel the listing agent out and the seller on their capacity to do a good job on the repairs? Because I find myself talking to my clients and saying, what if we renegotiate price and discuss you fix this after, and then you control who repairs it, when they come, how it's done, what's done. And because the sellers are not using or doing, you know what I mean? Like they're going to use the cheapest route possible because it's not going to be their home. So how do you guys feel about that? And I have a good one about a recent seller's disclosure too.
I think it depends on the buyer and the seller. I mean, if you're buying a military house where it's spotless, 10 out of 10, everything's great, everything was done phenomenally, and you have a buyer that has no cash, then yeah, I have no problem asking them to make the repairs. If you have a house that was kind of DIY'd to death and my guy has some cash to do it, then yeah, I will go that route. But I think I don't have a set rule on that. But
And
it just
I
kind of
also
depends.
use the term licensed people. This isn't something you're allowed to come in and fix yourself. You have to provide a photo and a receipt of your licensed contractor. At least you know they're not fixing it themselves.
Yes, I've done that before too. Sometimes it's like chasing your tail to get that information from a buyer's agent. Have you guys ran across that?
I've ran across
Yep.
that with the seller.
Yeah, where you just have to keep asking. Okay, thank you, Jake. And then this is recent. My buyers, we put an offer in on the house, full price, and it was everything that checked every box. And on the seller's disclosure, now mind you, the listing agent is also the seller, but she's never sold any real estate while they've lived in Missouri for 2 years. And they filled out the seller's disclosure that the AC was only 3 years old. And then Ron and Jordan finished up and it's 28 years old. So we brought that to their attention and the fact that the chimney needed significant amount of work. And they've just absolutely refused to acknowledge the fact that they lied on the seller's disclosure. And they felt like their price was their price and that was fair and we should suck it up and deal with it. And yeah, my buyers ultimately, I said, you guys let me know what you want to do. We tried to ask for them to split it with us. They wouldn't do that. And it is a good deal, but they still lied about the age of the AC, which was wrong. And we didn't know how bad the chimney was. But how would you guys have handled that? Because I mean, ultimately, it's my buyer's decision on what we do. So I couldn't get them to budge at all.
What was their answer on how they could have been off by a 3-year system versus 20-something year system?
They said, well, that's how long it's been here since we've lived here. I was like, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
Like, you knew that that was clearly an old unit. You just bought the house 2 years ago. So, yeah, they straight up lied. My buyers knew it. So, it's a bogus response.
I'd just be very careful in that transaction because people like that, they're going to make the whole deal hard. They're not going to, I mean, they're just difficult from start to end, it seems like, on deals like that. So the house can still be good. And I always tell people that too. I said, the people can suck and the house is good. We can still get the deal done because once they sell it, we don't have to deal with Jack with them anymore. but just be careful on that one. But I mean, if they're not going to negotiate, I just ask your buyers, say, would you still buy this house with a 25-year-old air conditioning unit if it has a warranty on it? And just see if they'll buy you a warranty.
Okay, thank you.
That sucks. People suck.
I got one more.
Oh, what do you
I
got,
got
Shelby?
one more. On the seller's disclosure, it said that the refrigerator and the deep freeze in the basement were staying. We did a final walkthrough at literally 8 o'clock the night before closing because my clients worked late, and it was there. I took pictures of it. Next morning, we closed. They go to move in, they have all of their refrigerated stuff, go to pull in, they're gone. I call the agent multiple times. She never calls me back. I texted her multiple times. She replied that the sellers would bring them back on, that was a Thursday. They would bring them back on Sunday. And my buyers said, no, we don't want them back. Once they're unplugged, they're already used. Forget it. They just forget it. If they'll give us a little bit of money, we'll be tickled, but please don't bring those back. I reached out to the agent and told her that directly, and her clients dropped off a filthy refrigerator and a very disgusting deep freeze and left it in my client's driveway. Fun fact, my client works with the seller. So it's not like they're not going to see each other again. And we paid them, they're asking like price, we were workable. But yeah, have you guys ever came across sellers that took appliances?
It happens. They definitely do. Well, what I always try to do on personal property is prior to closing, just send an email saying, "Hey, just a reminder that this particular deal has the following in there. And if there's personal property, or say they agreed to leave a swing set, any of that kind of stuff, the kind of crap that all of a sudden is missing at the time of closing. Just that little reminder. We all get busy and we sort of forget. But I know I get those messages and I actually appreciate it because then I can go back and pop a quick one to my seller going, hey, just a reminder, our fridge and freezer stays as well as the swing set. I know you guys, we already discussed that, but you got a lot going on. That can help with 90% of it.
Okay, I'll add that to my list.
It's a
Thank you.
great tip, Lonnie. Thank you.
Yeah. And people do that to me and I appreciate it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. They're probably thinking, hey, Lonnie's busy. He's going to forget. His people are morons, whatever. But I just look at it as, hey, that's one less thing that can go wrong. And a lot of times people, I mean, not a lot, but occasionally my seller will go, oh, shit, we've already moved that. We forgot that was in the deal. Okay, get it back. That's how it works.
So my most recent one like that is not appliances, but my we took possession on the same day that we closed. We closed in the morning and we took possession at 6 p.m. We did our final walkthrough midday the day before, and they still had a ton of stuff to move out. But they had, over 24 hours and they were living in the house. So sure, like maybe they've got 2 men in a truck coming the next morning and they're going to get it out of there, no problem. But we did notice that there was quite a bit of trash type stuff in the backyard, the back patio, and the garage. Like a broken lawn ornament, for example. Like it wasn't something you would want to keep if the sellers left because it was broken. But obviously they had not discarded it yet. So I reached out proactively to the agent and just said, hey, I just wanted to voice a concern that we have. There's a lot of trashy type debris that hasn't moved in some time. And we just want to make sure that your seller's understanding is that they're getting all the trash out of here as well. We don't want to be stuck with it. And she said, yeah, did you have some pictures that you could send me? So I took some pictures, sent it over to her, and she said, oh my gosh, that's a lot of stuff. I'm going to have a dumpster set in the morning so that my sellers can throw away all of their trash. And then that way, and I'll leave it. I'm trying to think what day that was. I think it was last Wednesday that we closed. And she said, I'll leave it through the weekend. That way, if your buyer has trash and stuff, they could fill up the dumpster with their trash. So she was kind of doing it as a courtesy, like we're going to set the dumpster and we'll leave it for you guys to use because we understand that it's going to be an inconvenience having the dumpster there when you're moving in. So I ran it by our buyer and we agreed to it. When we got there at 6 p.m., they had not thrown anything in the dumpster. There was an empty dumpster and all this trash and debris left behind. And I'll save you all the details, but the buyers were on the road heading out, or the sellers were on the road heading out of town with their U-Haul moving truck. The listing agent was out of town, and I sent her all kinds of pictures and I was like, hey, please advise who's coming to take care of this trash. And she said, I'm so sorry. That was it. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, no problem. I understand. What's the solution? How are we going to get it taken care of? And she responded, I'm out of town and I'll see if I can get somebody from my office to help cover. 2 hours go by. My buyer's been at the house now for 2 hours. It's 8 p.m. My buyer's super frustrated, and push came to shove. I'm over there the next day with a couple of Belton High School football players, and we start chucking everything into the dumpster. I paid them a couple $100 to help me throw stuff away, and they were super excited about it. And I sent her a Venmo for the $200 that I spent on those guys, and she hasn't responded. Thoughts?
I think you did the right thing. Those clients now are going to refer the heck out of you. Be like, oh my goodness, the other agent was terrible. And then Tim came over and was throwing all this trash away for us. And he brought some high school kids. I mean, worst case, you spent $200 and you'll get a couple of referrals. You can even say, hey, remember all that trash I threw away from you? I want to cash that in for a referral today. Like,
Who's the listing agent?
I totally agree with that. And also, like, I had better things to do that day, right? I think I can't even remember if I think that was the week that I signed up on Tuesday on Lonnie's sheet to be on the mastermind call. Like, I think I missed mastermind call because I was throwing trash in the dumpster. Like, also, I know my client comes first. Like, I get all that, but in the end, they were contractually agreed to not leave any personal property or debris or trash at the house, right? They're supposed to clean that up per the contract. But then in the end, like, what real like pushback do we have, or what recourse is there? Because she was just like, yeah, sorry. And then she did respond, because I kind of got a little bit ugly and direct about, like, that's not the condition that we agreed to. And she was like, well, you should be thankful that I put the dumpster there. And I'm like, no. The dumpster was for your clients to put their trash in. That had nothing to do with us. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, Jake. I think the client ultimately was super tickled. And I also think that it was the right thing to do. But the bummer part is that's not what we agreed to. And I feel like if that would have been me and I was the listing agent, I would have been over there getting rid of that stuff so that we had a good showing. I kind of think that I've done that before. I think I've helped my sellers get out of their house because they weren't ready in time. Andy and Lonnie, I think you asked who the listing agent was. Do you want their actual, you want her name?
I'd just like to know who it is, if it's anybody I know.
Yeah, her name's Angie Wheeler, and she's with United out of the Northland office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't ring a bell, but Tim, you're so darn nice. How long ago was this?
It was Wednesday, Thursday of last week. We closed on Wednesday, and we were dumping the trash on Thursday.
Yeah. So I think I would send her another. I pick up the phone, so I'm typically going to call somebody, but that's your call. But the expectation is somebody's Venmoing me $200, been patient, been waiting a week, and that doesn't even include the time I had to spend and take away from my schedule to clean up your mess. So this needs to be resolved today. Next call is your broker and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
And what will happen is, oh, I am so sorry. I've been so busy. I forgot. Okay,
sure.
Jenny. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay. Good
If you want
advice.
your $200, that's how you're going to get it.
Yeah, makes sense. Good call.
Yeah, I've had to unfortunately make those calls to I'm gonna have my broker call your broker kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the least they could do. And chances are they could go back to their client and go, hey, we left a mess here. The agent was nice to take care of it. We owe him $200 and, figure it out. I don't care who Venmos me, just Venmo me, right?
Yeah, for sure. Good call. Thanks, you guys.
Then you need to recruit them to Southland because they clearly don't know how to do best practices. So they
Right.
need more training.
Yeah, and that's a fact.
I mean, I get it. Some of our clients suck. I'm not saying all my clients are great, but man, I feel like if we do something in Southland, those things just don't happen.
I mean, again, I feel like if I'm on the listing agent side of that, I have literally helped one of my clients, and it was not a family member. I put some of their personal possessions in the back of my car. I hope Darren's not on this call. I put some of their personal possessions in the back of my car and drove it to their new house because we were trying to get out by a certain time and they were running behind and not doing a great job. And I'm like, we got to get out of here. And then I remember, like, I vacuumed their carpets. I broomed out their garage, and I was the listing agent. And then this listing agent is like, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. Well, really sorry, nothing. Like, my client is ticked because the house looks disgusting. Like, there was so much trash in the garage. There was like a bike with a rusted broken chain. Like, they could have thrown that away and they chose not to. So, yeah, I mean, I agree, Jake. I just don't see none of our agents are handling business that way. None of us are.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. I remember some very hot summers when I had clients. They were a family over here in Belton, and I was the listing agent. We got them over asked for the deal, and they could not get out of the house. And I remember being over there at 8 o'clock in the morning in shorts and a t-shirt and helping them get all the crap out of their garage, out from under their deck. And I'm like, I will never do this again, and I wouldn't do it again. But I remember, they had to get out of that house, and I wasn't going to be the listing agent that was saying, like this person for you. I wasn't going to say, well, sorry. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it before with a lady in Raytown who couldn't get out of the house. And I ended up having to call Darren because I went over there 2 nights in a row and helped her pack things. And she was an older lady, but she had people from the church helping her, but not very many. And I went over there, and then the buyers were really nice, but they kept saying, we're going to have to call. I said, I called Darren. I said, what do I do? And Darren's like, let them call the police, because they were going to call the police. I said, it's not your house anymore. You have to get out of this house. It's a pain. And I think it's hard for us because being from an office where we know better, we have to go try to fix the situation. And sometimes it's not humanly possible to fix the situation.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That's a great thought there, Chris, because I am a little bit more of like, I tend to lean towards not doing the best job at delegating, and I'm just like, oh, I'll just do it myself. Well,
Yes.
what if it was an entire house full of stuff? Like,
Yes.
well, I can't. So I keep having to remind myself, not one, yes, I could, but it's also not my responsibility, and what would be a better use of my time, because me
Yep.
hauling trash to a dumpster on a half a day for a Thursday is not the highest and best use of my time.
Nope.
Yeah, that's a great thought process there, because not like there's a lot of things that I couldn't do anyway. So then
Right.
what if I can't physically provide the solution on my own? What do
Right.
I do? So yeah, good. That's a good thought.
Well, and like this lady, she had a guy from the church who had a big truck. So like it wasn't like I could rent her a truck or I didn't know, I had no resources to help her, except after my day was done, I would call and say, hey, how's it going? Are you making any progress? No, not really. So I would get in my car. I would drive up there every night until 10 o'clock. I'm in the middle of Raytown, and trying to help her get stuff out of her basement and trying to help her pack stuff up. And I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. And finally, when I called on the second night, I called Darren the next day, and he's like, hey, you just let the buyer, everybody had already closed, and she just would not get her stuff out of the house. And Darren's like, let the pieces fall where they may. You've done what you can do. I'm like, okay. They never did call the police. I mean, nothing ever came of it because she got it out that third day. But I'm like, you're 3 days past closing, the date that we had agreed to for you to be out of this house. And she was moving into a brand new house that she had just built. Kevin Hardy had just built her a brand new house out here in Belton by the hospital. And I'm like, don't you want to be at your new house? That's what I would think. Yeah, it was crazy. But I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought that these guys were going to be out of there because I'm like, they got 24 hours. Like and their agent put a dumpster there for them. Like I kind of, I feel like we were pretty proactive too, having a lot of conversations back and forth. And then like, well, they didn't, and the listing agent wasn't there to like swing by the house and make sure they were out. And sometimes agents don't do a great job, myself included, don't do a great job of conveying the expectations to their client. So I'm like, maybe it's not the client's fault. Maybe the agent didn't do a great job of conveying the expectations, because we know how clients are. A lot of times they don't even really read the contract. They're just signing stuff. And so, I mean, I don't. People are strange.
Yeah, people are very strange. That same house, the one out here in Belton in Apple Valley, where I was crawling under the deck and these bugs, and I'm like, this is not my job. Why? But I knew the girl from my previous job, and I was trying to help them out, and but that's where I learned I won't do it again. And then the lady that was the buyer's agent, she said, we expect that house to be professionally cleaned when we move in. And I said, you should have written that on the contract, because that is not what the contract doesn't say anything about professionally cleaned. And I remember talking to Darren, and Darren said, well, the old contract used to say it needed to be like broom swept or something. And I'm not really sure what the language is now, but I just decided, and my client's sister-in-law was a house cleaner, so she was cleaning the house. Well, I hope she didn't have very many clients, because that is not a good job. But I just got Joe Goodwin referred me to a great house cleaner, and I just paid for it. And I'm like, get in there and clean the house, because I'm like, this is going nowhere fast.
All right, we are at 11. I was gonna kind of just summarize our best practices for negotiating during inspection periods. Always call the agent first, ask questions, feel them out, and then whenever we do present our negotiations, it's best to compartmentalize. And then, like what Trisha said, my buyer will take care of these 5 things if your seller will take care of these 2 things. And then Lonnie had that great tip about sending an email reminding, hey, the fridge stays, freezer stays, all that stuff before closing. And then Tim's great tip on communicating with the listing agent before closing, saying, hey, looks like I'm not sure if everything's gonna get done before closing. So I think those are great tips on
What's your
best
tip on
practices.
people getting their money back if they pour money into a property for an inspection like that and then don't close?
Do what?
I said, what's your tip on people actually pouring money into like an inspection, like saying, I'll fix this, I'll fix that, and then the seller fixed the other side and they don't end up closing? I'm in a situation
They won't
like that.
do that until after closing. Like they won't, my sellers or my buyers won't fix anything until they own that property.
Even if it has to be fixed before to pass inspection?
To pass the appraisal, then the sellers they're going to have to do that.
It's an appraisal issue at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's an appraisal issue, the seller has to fix that in my mind, because it's going to be an appraisal issue with the next person, the next.
Yeah.
Even though you got to fix these things for the appraisal, I'll fix all the other stuff after we close.
Even though the sellers don't have to fix it, the buyers can fix it. But, and I have had clients.
That's what I'm saying, but then they're losing money if they don't close.
Well, my clients, the buyer did it because it was painting a porch. It was just a front porch that the appraisal called out that needed, and they had just replaced, we had Brent Goodall replace the front porch. So the wood was brand new, and the appraiser called out the porch that it needed to be painted. And the wood wasn't even seasoned. But my buyer, because they wanted the house so bad, he sent his wife over and she painted the porch. It wasn't a big porch. So
Yeah, stuff like that I've had people do. If they're
yeah.
an electrician, they go, this is no big deal or something like that. I'm fine with things like that.
Yeah.
Small things, but I mean, then you are still taking a risk if it doesn't close.
Yep. And that's what we said. That's what she knew, but they wanted that house and she was willing to do it. And I said, okay. And my people were getting divorced. I had the listing and they were getting divorced and they would fight over, what day of the week it was. And I'm like, well, this got called out. We need you guys to paint it. I'm not painting it. He can go and paint it. And they argued over, and they weren't going to paint it. We're going to lose it. I said, well, then you're going to lose the sale on your house. And finally, the buyer got their person to come paint the buyer's agent said, my client will come paint it. Again, it's just a front porch, not on a big house, not in any big property or anything. But I'm like, good Lord. It took her the whole day.
Mine's subflooring. Basically, parts of the carpet are missing, and for it to pass conventional loan, it has to have flooring.
Yeah, it sure does.
So my buyers are like, well, we'll do it. And I'm like, but then you're SOL if we don't close. So I don't want you guys to be out of money if we don't close, because we have to sell their house. Everything else.
What did the sellers say?
They said that they would definitely help out, but it wasn't like, yeah, gung ho, we'll do it, because I didn't really think that she wasn't aware that they would have to replace the flooring to even get to pass loan.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because with a conventional loan, that's going to be,
90.
You not have something
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I'd have that conversation with the listing agent. Say, we're conventional loan. Unless you find a cash buyer, this is going to have to be done.
Yeah,
I did have that, because we switched from an FHA to a conventional, and I told her, I said, this will have to be done prior to closing, like prior to any inspections or anything for it to pass.
What they said? No,
that's what they said, that they would definitely. They said we would look into it once it happens, and we would try to get it taken care of and work with your buyers and blah blah blah. Like, they didn't really take a full initiative, but it was like, we'll work with you, we'll get it done, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay,
is it a deal you still have going on?
Yeah, we're getting ready to do inspections probably within the next couple days.
Oh, so you haven't had appraisals. The appraisal hasn't happened.
No, we just went under contract, and I just sent the stuff to a lender to see where we were at before we got too deep into this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, you're fine. They got time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep on them about it.
You're not up against the clock, the closing clock or anything. Just get it done. And a lot of times I will tell you, as long as they have some kind of flooring down, because I've had this happen before, but mine wasn't that. We had FHA buyers, and my people went and they had torn their carpet out of a very small bedroom, and it was just the subflooring. And they went and they got just like a carpet remnant, but it was big enough to fit the floor. It wasn't down, it wasn't attached, it wasn't installed, but the appraiser was fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how big
some kind of carpet or something.
Yeah, what kind of carpet you're talking about, or how big of a square footage or whatever.
One of them's a master bathroom, and the other one, they just cut out parts of the master bedroom because of the animal doo-doo.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it just got open circles.
Gee whiz.
But my buyers love the house, so what do you say?
Yeah.
Mastermind. I appreciate you guys jumping on.
Thanks, Jake. Great job.
Thanks. Go sell something.
See ya.